Okay, for today, the assignment is officially called Probability and Stats Review. So, to begin with, probability. On probability, if you wanted to know what are the outcomes, that's the things that could happen. When I flip a coin, what are the outcomes?
1 out of 2.
Nope, that's not outcomes. The things that could happen. I flip a coin, it's either gonna heads or tails. And there's two names for this: outcomes, or yeah, possibilities is true, but that's not an official name for it.
Combination.
Nope, that's not it either. This is a fancy name called sample. Anybody remember? Space. I know that's a really strange word, but it is one of the words that could be on the ACT test at some point. Sample space. It's right on their list of topics you need to know. But it's really not that hard. It's just a list of the things that could happen. So when I roll a die, what could happen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Good. If I flip a coin, it's H or T. If I spin a spinner, and the spinner looks like this, do you get that there are some things that are more likely than others? Like, let's say there's you win a car, and this is you win a piano, and this is you win a goat. And maybe you really want a goat, but most people would rather have a piano or a car because they're worth more. Okay, but you spin the spinner around, and do you get goat has the biggest probability?
Yeah.
Okay, but when it comes to the sample space, all the things that could happen, you could either get a car, you could get a goat, or you could get a piano. I think most people would pick the car. Nope, some people want the goat. All right. Do you actually want a goat? All right.
It depends on the car. Like what kind
That's
of car
true. That's true. Cheap, nasty, old, broken down car? No, but how about a
Tesla, you already know.
Okay, yeah, Teslas are a little expensive and very cool. Okay, what did you ask?
Do I have one?
Shh, I've been to Purgatory. Yes.
Purgatory brought in probably about a year ago. Goats.
They brought in goats at Purgatory.
They eat invasive species.
Oh, interesting.
They have electric fences around them, and then once they have cleared an area, they move the fences to another area.
So the goats basically like to eat.
They eat everything.
Well, they eat everything. So they basically move the goats around by moving the fences, so that they will eat up the weeds and trees that are not, like probably buckthorn, I'm guessing. Interesting. That's a great way to get it cleared out. I think we should just get students to do it. What do you think? All right. So, sorry, gotta move on. So we have, this is the sample space, is just what could happen. So and this is like the easiest thing in the world. You just have to list all the things that could happen. You just got to know that that's called the sample space. Okay, so your sample space is just a big list of all the things that could happen. All right, another thing on probability is it's always what you want over what's possible. I'm going to give you an example of that. Let's say that there is 6 things on the die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And let's say that your dad offers you this deal. If you roll an even, you don't have to mow the lawn this week. I'll do it. If you roll an even. Okay? I used to make my kids mow the lawn. It's part of their, cost of me feeding them and all that stuff, Yeah, I gave them an allowance too, and so they had to mow the lawn to get their allowance. Well, anyway, even number. If you roll an even number, what do you want? Well, of course, you don't want to have to mow the lawn, so you want an even number. So how many things would make you win? How many things would make you win? 3. Out of how many things are possible? 6. So this is a pretty even, like 50-50 sort of chance, right? The probability is 3 and 6. You can reduce that to 1 out of 2. And when people say 50-50, I don't think they really know what they're talking about, because what they're saying is not probability. That is called odds. You've heard that before, haven't you? 50-50 chance. That's actually not a probability, that's odds. Okay? So, this is a probability. 0.5 or 1/2. Okay? Or 50% is another way to say that. But 50-50, that's actually called odds. All right. So let's say that your dad offers you a different deal because he wants you to have a better chance to actually not have to mow the lawn. He says, okay, how about if I roll any prime number? Do you guys know what prime numbers are? You've heard of them? They're numbers you can't break up with multiply. Like 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 5 is prime. Did he actually give you any better deal?
No.
No, it's actually still 3 out of 6 again.
Right.
All right. Now, a lot of people think 1 is prime, though, because they think, well, you can't break 1 up. But the official definition of prime is that you have 2 factors. And what are the factors of 1? Only 1. And so prime, it isn't actually prime. A lot of people will say 1 is prime, but it is not. Okay, so your probability section of the test, I feel like, is going to be a lot of common sense. As long as you remember, it's always a fraction. And then it's what you want on top, and it's always a smaller number on top. Because think about this. If you ever have this, is that a probability that makes any sense?
No.
You have an 8 and 7. No. Now, there is such a thing as, stop doing that. There is such a thing as odds. If I say the odds are 8 to 7, that actually is a thing. But odds are completely different. We don't test you on odds. That means there's like 8 things that could make you win and 7 things that would make you lose. That's not a probability, though. Probabilities are always fractions. And you'll never have the top be bigger than the bottom. The bottom is always bigger than the top, unless it's this. Is that an actual real probability?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have 8 out of 8 chance. In other words, is there anything that is a sure thing? I have to admit, there's not many things that are a sure thing. Like, could we even say something like, the sun will come up in the morning? Oh, I guess if the sun blows up, it's not going to come up in the morning. Is it even possible the sun blows up? Yeah, actually, scientists say there's a chance the sun could explode. And it is interesting. We'd actually live for a little while after the sun exploded because the explosion wouldn't actually get to us instantly. It would take a little while. 8 minutes. You'd have about 8
Either way,
minutes.
we'll die, so don't even matter.
You're right. We're going to die either way eventually, yes.
Or we wouldn't feel it.
It's a weird thought, but you would probably, if the sun exploded, you'd probably never see it coming because it would be coming so fast, the explosion, that you might actually, they actually say with a solar storm, which would be kind of like that you can see something's coming, but you can't tell how bad it is. They say it's kind of like a storm out on the ocean. Okay, I can see there's a storm coming, right? You see the clouds, and I can see it coming, but you can't tell if it's going to be really big and bad until it hits. It's kind of like that with the solar storm. So some solar storms are little. They just come and they give you some radiation and it actually gives you the northern lights. It's kind of pretty and stuff. But if it comes with a huge storm, solar storm, it could actually shut down all our power. Okay, and if it comes with a massive solar storm, it would actually burn the Earth so much that everything would die. Okay, so that would just, basically the sun shoots out little bullets of radiation, you could think of it like. Whenever there's a storm on the surface of the sun, it sends out, but the sun is a huge, like, ball out there, and it's shooting these off in different directions. The odds that one of those solar storms, that's a really bad one, happens to be aimed right at us is not that good. When it does a storm, it doesn't go in every direction. It just only goes off in one direction. So it would have to happen just perfect, where it shot the little ball of energy, like the radiation ball, our way, and happened to hit us just right. And again, all of that makes it really low probability. But anyway, there is such a thing as 8 out of 8. Is there also such a thing as no chance? Yeah, there is no chance. Like, there's probably no chance that I will play professional basketball. Probably no chance. Okay? Now, could it possibly happen? Yeah. Like, I pay some guy like $1 million in a charity game, so he makes money for charity by me going out in the court for 5 seconds and playing. Is it possible? Maybe, but it's pretty much impossible. Okay, so again, just like there's really, really few things that are per whole, like 8 out of 8 chance, there's also very few things that are impossible. All right, so there's kind of an overview of probability. The next thing we got to know is the stats thing. Mean, median, mode, range. Those have a one-word description. Mean has a description that starts with an A. Do you remember it? Average is correct. The mean means the average. The median. Does anybody remember the one-word description of median?
Middle number?
Yes, excellent. The middle. And how about the mode? There's a one-word description for it.
That's
Nope,
not true.
that's the range thing.
That's the range.
What's the mode? Most, very good. Mode most. And the last one-word description is for range, and there is no one-word description. Big minus small. And then the last thing is about box plots. Focus. You're gonna want to hear this. This is what your test is on. And your test theoretically would be tomorrow. I think we're gonna take 2 days of review for it, and then have the test be the next day on Thursday. It's the current plan. But anyway, so the box plot thing. Do you remember these box plots? And how? Let's say this is. What should we do that might be more interesting? Shoe sizes. Okay. Do you get there's somebody in here that's probably got like a 14 shoe size? Anybody got a 14? Okay, anybody got a 13 shoe? Ooh, bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4 people have a 13 shoe. Okay, so our biggest number is 13. Okay, what's our smallest shoe size in here? Anybody willing to dish? That's probably one of the girls. You don't have to tell us, but ballpark? About a 5? Okay. So that's our biggest, our smallest. Now the middle size shoe would be like who's got the shoes that are pretty much in the middle of all the others. Well, 13, 12, 11, let's just actually make a list here. 13, 12, 11s, 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, 5s. I know there's a bunch of people with 13s. I've got a 12. Anybody here got an 11 or 12s? Okay. That's a good point. Women's shoes don't have the same size scale as men's, but I think even like, is there any guys in here with size 5s? You know what I mean? That doesn't I don't think that's going to be a problem. The girls' shoes are probably smaller. Okay. Anybody got a size 11 shoe? Nobody's got an 11 in the whole room? You got 11s? You sure? Or is that a question? You got 11s. Okay, there's an 11. Okay, does anybody have 10s in here? Size 10s.
10 and a 10 and a half.
Okay, 10, 10 and a half. I'll lump those together. Okay, how about 9s? Size 9s. A couple people with size 9. Who's got a size 8? Anybody got size 8? There's 1 8. Man, it's going to be like one of everything. Who's got a size 7? All right, two with size 7s. Anybody got a size 6? Well, finally, we have a gap. That's a good thing. It'll make more sense with our data. And then I know somebody's got a 5. And again, does anybody have a 4? Nice. You lie. Okay, so what's the middle of this whole group? Well, it's not that one, and it's not that one. This doesn't even exist. There are no people with 6s in here, so I just cross it off. And then what's the middle one? It's not that one, it's not that one. It's not that one, it's not that one. There's 2 things in the middle. It's a 9.5. No, right between 9 and 10. 9.5 is in the middle. So does anybody actually have a 9.5 shoe? Because some people do. You do? All right. So then your shoes are exactly in the middle. But there is that whole women's shoes are slightly different than men's shoes. But anyway, 9.5 would be right in the middle. Now, the average would be if I had added these all up and divided by one, all of them. But that gets more complicated because there was actually like 3 people that had 13s. And there was like 2 people that had 12s. And anyway, so the middle is in the middle, of course. And we're going to put that in the middle. Then how do you get the ones that are on the Q1 and the Q3? Those are the quartiles. They are the middle of the bottom and the middle of the top. Now, I am simplifying our data. I want to make this official. I'm acting like there's only one 13, there's only one 12, there's only one 11. I know there's actually in the real world, there's a couple people with 12s and whatever. I'm just simplifying it. We're just saying there's one of each. Then this 9.5 goes in the middle. What is this Q1 again?
Quartile.
It's the quartile 1, yes, and it's right in the middle of the... It's in the middle of the bottom. Let me show you what I mean. It's in the middle of this bottom half. I just have to find what's in the middle of the bottom half. Can you not do that right now? Don't do that right now. I don't care. You're learning math right now. You're not supposed to be working on that. Video here. All right, so we can't just find the middle of the bottom half by averaging the 9 and the 5. What we do is figure out, here was the middle. What's the middle of these numbers? Of these numbers, it's not this one, it's not this one. Shh. And it's in between those two. What's in between? Yeah, 7.5. Okay, but I asked you if you just averaged these two numbers. Okay, well, you shouldn't have said you did that. All right, so 7.5 is correct. Good job. All right, so this is found by finding the middle of the bottom half. Now, here's the top half. In the top half, obviously, the middle one is not that one, and it's not that one. Do you get how it would be between those two? 11.5. That's how you get the quartiles. Last thing, from this, I can get the range really easy. It's the biggest, and then what?
The smallest.
Biggest and the smallest, and what do you do to them?
You subtract them.
You subtract them. Okay. 13 minus 5, I think it's 8. Is that right?
I don't know, man.
Somebody's verifying it's 8. Good. Okay, so 8 is the range. But the last one, what is the interquartile range? That's something you can impress mom and dad with at home. I learned about the interquartile range today.
I don't think they'll care.
They might. That and that are the quartiles, aren't they? Take a wild guess what you do to them. You subtract them. The interquartile range is you just take Q3 and you subtract Q1. All right, so that's a review of everything that you have to know for this test that's coming up 2 days from now. We will take a couple days to review this because I know there's some of those things that you probably weren't totally getting. But that's all I have for the video for today. What am I